Okay, class, so today we're going to be learning about annotation. And in order to do this, I'm going to be reading an article or a passage to you from a book called One Writer's Beginnings by Eudora Welty. So I think the first thing that anyone should do when they annotate a passage is read it through to get the general idea and then go back and annotate for details, setting, things like that. So we're going to just go ahead and read this first. From One Writer's Beginnings by Eudora Welty. Miss Dooling dressed as plainly as a pilgrim on a Thanksgiving poster we made in the schoolroom. In a longish black and white checked gingham dress, a bright thick wool sweater the red of a railroad lantern. She knitted it herself. Black stockings and her narrow, elegant feet in black high-top shoes with heels you could hear coming, rhythmical as a parade drum down the hall. Her silky black curly hair was drawn back out of curl, fastened by high combs, and knotted behind. She carried her spectacles on a gold chain hung around her neck. Her gaze was in general sweeping, then suddenly at the point of concentration upon you. With a swing of her bell that took her whole right arm and shoulders, she rang it, militant and impartial, from the head of the front steps of Davis School, when it was time for all of us to line up, girls on one side, boys on the other. We were to march past her into the school building, while the fourth graders she nabbed played time on the piano, mostly to a tune we could have skipped to, but we didn't skip it to Davis School. So, what are some first impressions that you get of Miss Dooling? Matthew.
She's really strict.
And how can you tell that she's strict from this passage?
She rings the bell militant and impartial, and she has the kids march into the school building.
Right. So when you hear the words militant and impartial, what kind of image does that kind of bring about in your head?
She's kind of like no nonsense, trying to get the kids moving, not really particularly nice or caring.
Right, sort of like a military commander, right?
Yeah.
So that's something I would definitely annotate on your passage. So where it says militant and impartial, that's kind of part of the diction that Eudora Welty uses in her passage to tell us that Miss Dooling's not necessarily the nicest person. What else can you see? Ramik?
I can see that the school itself is also very strict. At the very end, they said she rang a bell to the tune of something the children could skip to, but we didn't skip into Davis School, so there's a lot of rules going on in the
Sure.
school.
Also, there's something in the sentence before that also kind of tells you that it's a very traditional, uptight type of school.
Oh, was it we were to march past her?
A little bit after that, a little bit before that, where it says that the girls were lined up on one side and the boys were lined up on the other, right? So when you see that, it's kind of separating the genders, that kind of tells you that it's more of a traditional, very strict school, right? So I would also underline that stuff. Anything that gives some kind of idea of what the setting is definitely going to be useful when you annotate. There are some other things that I want to talk about. So when it tells you about Miss Dooling's appearance, what does it say about her? Peggy?
Miss Dooling's dressed as plainly as a pilgrim on a Thanksgiving poster.
Right. So, what kind of image does that give you about Miss Dooling?
She's dressed very old-fashioned, since pilgrims back then didn't really dress anything nice.
Right. Exactly. So you can tell that she's kind of a traditional figure, right? Okay, that's good. So we'll also be underlining comparisons, similes, metaphors, things like that kind of give you a characterization of this character. And in order to help you remember that, I made up a chant for you guys. So the things that you need to look for while annotating are figurative language, symbolism, characterization, setting, tone and mood, theme, any unfamiliar words, and really anything else that sticks out to you in the passage. So I want you to be very free with this, but I also want you to have a few guidelines. So here's a chant, and I want you guys to all say it with me. So actually I'll go through it once and then you guys can follow along once. Ready? Figurative language, setting, theme. These are things you have to see. Tone and mood and choice of words. Finding these sure wouldn't hurt. Characterization and symbols too. Now we've gone the whole way through. See, this really helps you when you annotate. So I want everyone to chant it with me once. Ready? Figurative language, setting, theme, these are things you have to see. Tone and mood and choice of words, finding these sure wouldn't hurt. Characterization and symbols too, now we've gone the whole